Life is short, everyone knows that, but almost nobody lives like they know it. Most people treat life the way they treat air. They assume there will always be more of it tomorrow. More mornings, more chances, more time to call back, more time to fix things, more time to become who they said they would become. But life does not work on assumptions. It works on subtraction. Every week something is leaving you. A little energy, a little freedom, a little innocence, a little time. And the dangerous part is, it doesn't feel dramatic while it's happening. Life usually doesn't collapse all at once. It gets traded away quietly. 10 minutes here, a postponed dream there. One more year spent waiting to feel ready. That's how people lose their lives. Not in one giant mistake, but in thousands of small delays. Think about this. If your life were a jar of marbles and each marble represented 1 week, the jar would not be bottomless. It would be limited, visible, countable. And if you could actually see how many marbles were left, you would stop wasting them on things that drain you, distract you, and keep you emotionally asleep. But because time is invisible, people spend it carelessly. They say things like, I'm still young, I've got time. I'll focus on that later. I'll take care of my health after things settle down. I'll spend more time with my parents when work gets easier. I'll start the thing I really want once I feel confident enough. But later is one of the most expensive words in the world. It sounds harmless. It sounds responsible. It sounds practical. But later has buried more dreams than failure ever did. Here's the truth. You do not need better time management. You need better life management. Because the real problem is not that your calendar is full. The real problem is that too much of your life is being spent on things that don't deserve it. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn how to spend your life more wisely. Not just how to be productive. Not just how to wake up earlier or make more money. But how to stop leaking your existence into things that don't matter and start investing it into things that actually make a life worth living. This is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming conscious. Chapter 1. The illusion of endless times. One of the biggest lies your mind tells you is that your future is much larger than it really is. When you are young, life feels expandable. 1 year feels like nothing. 5 years feels like a comfortable distance. You think there will always be another season to repair what you neglected. Another chapter to become disciplined, another version of you that finally gets serious. But that's not how life feels when you look backward. Looking forward, life feels spacious. Looking backwards, it feels shockingly fast. That's because your mind is a terrible estimator of time when comfort is involved. It stretches the future in your imagination while compressing the past in your memory. So you keep acting like time is abundant right until the moment it feels scarce. One day you wake up and you realize the school years are gone. The early 20s are gone. The phase you thought was temporary lasted almost a decade. The people you assumed would always be there are older now. So are you. And suddenly your life stops feeling theoretical. I'll figure it out soon. That sentence has stolen entire lives. The first step to spending life wisely is to stop thinking of time as something you own. You don't own time. You are being given access to it for a while. That shift changes everything. Because when you stop treating time like property and start treating it like a gift, you stop wasting it casually. The goal is not to become anxious about death. The goal is to become awake to life. People hear life is short and think it means rush. It doesn't. It means notice. It means stop sleepwalking. It means stop assuming that what matters to you will automatically happen if you wait long enough. It won't. Life rewards what you make room for. Chapter 2. The hidden cost of delay. Delay feels cheap in the moment. That's why it's so dangerous. Skipping one workout doesn't feel like a life decision. Avoiding one hard conversation doesn't feel life-changing. Postponing one dream for another month seems harmless. Saying yes to one more obligation looks small. But life is not shaped by isolated moments. It is shaped by repeated patterns. Every delay teaches your brain something. It teaches you that discomfort should be avoided, that your deeper priorities can wait, that your current mood has more authority than your long-term values. And once your brain learns that pattern, it starts repeating it automatically. That is why delay compounds. You don't just postpone the action. You postpone the identity that action would have built. You don't just avoid the call. You weaken the habit of showing up. You don't just put off writing, building, healing, learning, or changing. You train yourself to remain the same. I'll start when things calm down. Things rarely calm down on their own. Life does not clear the path for your priorities. You clear the paths. The wise way to spend life is to understand that every important thing in your life will ask for courage before it gives you meaning. Health asks first. Honesty asks first. Love asks first. Purpose asks first. If you keep waiting to feel no resistance, you will wait forever. A better question than when should I start is how much of my life am I willing to lose by not starting? That question has weight, because the cost of delay is not measured in hours. It is measured in identity, momentum, confidence, trust, and peace. Chapter 3. What actually deserves your life? Most people never consciously decide what their life is for. They inherit a script: study hard, earn more, stay busy, look successful, upgrade your lifestyle, keep chasing the next things. And because everybody around them is running the same race, they mistake social momentum for personal truth. But a crowded direction is not always the right direction. You can spend 20 years climbing towards something impressive and still arrive empty. Not because achievement is bad, but because achievement without alignment becomes exhaustion with good branding. So what actually deserves your life? A useful test is this: if something takes your time, does it also give your life more meaning, strength, peace, skill, love, freedom, or aliveness? If it does none of those, why is it getting so much of you? This is where many people get uncomfortable, because once you ask that honestly, you begin to see how much of your existence is spent maintaining appearances, pleasing the wrong people, proving things that don't matter, and feeding systems that do not care about your soul. I have responsibilities. Yes, you do. Everyone does. Wisdom is not about escaping responsibility. It is about separating true responsibility from manufactured pressures. Some things must be done. Bills must be paid. Work must be handled. Promises must be kept. But beyond that, a shocking amount of your life is negotiable. The problem is, most people never negotiate. They surrender by default. To spend life wisely, you need personal criteria. You need to know what is sacred to you. Maybe it is health. Maybe it is family dinners. Maybe it is focused work. Maybe it is spiritual clarity. Maybe it is freedom. Maybe it is building something meaningful. If you do not define what matters, the world will define it for you, and the world is addicted to urgency without meaning. Chapter 4. Attention is your real life. People think they live where their body is. They don't. They live where their attention is. You can sit at dinner with the people you love and be mentally trapped inside emails, comparison, old regrets, and future stress. Your body is present, but your life is elsewhere. That is the tragedy of modern living. People are not only losing time, they are losing presence. And presence is where life actually happens. You do not remember every ordinary day because many of them were never fully lived. They were skimmed, half felt, half seen, half inhabited. A distracted life becomes a blurry memory. That is why attention is not just a productivity issue. It is an existence issue. Every notification, every endless scroll, every random distraction looks tiny, but together they train your mind to become fragmented. And a fragmented mind struggles to experience depth. Depth in work, depth in thought, depth in joy. Just checking for a minute. A minute is rarely just a minute. It becomes a state change. It interrupts focus. It weakens intention. It teaches your brain that stillness is intolerable and silence must always be filled. A wise life is not necessarily a slower life. It is a less scattered one. Guard your attention the way previous generations guarded their money. Because whatever consistently gets your attention eventually gets your life. Chapter 5. Relationships are where life becomes real. At the end of life, very few people wish they had been slightly more efficient on random Tuesdays. But many wish they had loved better, called more often, been more patient, been less proud, said the thing while there was still time to say it. Relationships are strange. They feel permanent while they are active. Then one day you realize seasons changed quietly. The friend you used to talk to every day is now a memory with a profile picture. Your parents have aged in ways you didn't notice gradually. Your child stopped asking to sit beside you because you were always busy when they did. Love doesn't usually disappear dramatically. It starves slowly. I'll make time this weekend. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. And after enough missed weekends, a relationship becomes history instead of home. To spend life wisely, you must understand this. Do not survive on intention alone. They survive on repeated attention, a message, a walk, a difficult apology, a check-in, a conversation without multitasking. A moment of listening without trying to win. These look small, but they are the architecture of closeness. People often chase grand gestures because grand gestures are visible, but relationships are built in the invisible, in consistency, in warmth, in emotional availability, in choosing not to make the people you love compete with your distractions. If you want a wise life, do not just ask who loves you, ask who receives the best of you, your leftovers or your presence, because one day there will be a last conversation, a last visit, a last ordinary day that does not look important while it's happening. And wisdom is living in a way that does not rely on hindsight to reveal value. Chapter 6. Health decides the quality of your time. Many people talk about time as if all hours are equal. They aren't. An exhausted hour is not the same as an energized hour. A sick body does not experience life the way a healthy body does. A restless mind cannot enjoy what a calm mind can. That's why health is not a side project. It is the condition that shapes everything else. You can have free time and still feel unable to live. You can have money and still not have vitality. You can have opportunities and still lack the energy to use them well. I'll take care of myself after I handle everything else. But everything else keeps multiplying. And meanwhile your sleep worsens, your body stiffens, your mind becomes noisier, and your emotional resilience shrinks. Eventually even small problems start feeling huge because your nervous system is overloaded. The wise way to spend life is to stop treating your body like a machine that exists to serve your ambitions. Your body is the place where your whole life is experienced. Protecting it is not selfish. Eat in a way that supports clarity. Move in a way that keeps you alive from the inside, not just functional from the outside. Sleep as if tomorrow depends on it, because it does. Breathe before reacting. Rest before breaking. People who neglect health often believe they are buying more time for success. In reality, they are borrowing from the quality of their future. And future life paid for with present neglect is always more expensive than it looks. Chapter 7. Stop building a life you need escape from. A lot of people say they want freedoms, but the lifestyle they are building creates the opposite. They keep saying yes to things they do not respect. They build routines they hate. They spend beyond peace. They stay in environments that flatten them. Then they look for relief in entertainment, weekend fantasies, and temporary numbness. That is not leisure. That is recovery from a life that is badly designed. One of the wisest questions you can ask is not how do I relax more, but why does my normal life make me so desperate to escape? That question reveals a lot. Maybe your schedule is overloaded. Maybe your work no longer fits who you are becoming. Maybe your social circle rewards performance more than truth. Maybe your home is full of noise but empty of intention. Maybe your habits are keeping you tired. Maybe you're living by momentum instead of design. This is just adulthood. No. Some exhaustion is part of adulthood. Permanent connection. Chronic resentment is not. Constant emotional numbness is not. Constant only for weekends is not wisdom. It is a warning sign. A well-spent life includes effort, responsibility, and sacrifice. But it should also include enough alignment that you do not constantly want to flee from your own days. A good life is not one where every day is easy. It is one where your struggle at least belongs to something worthy. Chapter 8. Money should buy space, not chains. Money matters. Anyone pretending otherwise is usually speaking from comfort, denial, or theory. Money affects stress, security, access, and freedoms. But the real question is not whether money matters. The real question is what role you want it to play in your life. Many people start by using time to make money. Then gradually they start using all of life to maintain the version of life that money built. Bigger costs, bigger pressure, bigger dependency, more image, less peace. That is how wealth can quietly become captivity. Once I earn more, things will feel easier. Sometimes they do. But if your desires expand as fast as your income, you don't become free. You just become upgraded and trapped. Wise people use money to create breathing room. Room to say no. Room to recover. Room to leave unhealthy situations. Room to help people. Room to think. Room to choose. That is real wealth. The point is not to reject ambitions. The point is to make sure ambition serves life instead of replacing it. Because if every upgrade demands more anxiety, more maintenance, more absence from the people you love, then the cost may be larger than the reward. Money is powerful when it increases your options without stealing your inner life. If it gives you comfort but removes your peace, status but removes your presence, convenience but removes your freedom, then it is not really serving you. It is consuming you in a more polished form. Chapter 9. Purpose is built, not discovered in one magical moment. A lot of people waste years waiting for a lightning bolt. One perfect sign, one undeniable calling. One day where the clouds part and life suddenly reveals what they are meant to do. That moment usually does not come. Purpose is less like being struck by destiny, and more like paying attention to what keeps pulling you back. What kind of work makes you feel more alive afterward? Not just more praised. What problems do you feel drawn to solve? What effort feels meaningful even when it is difficult? What kind of contribution feels like you? You don't find purpose by overthinking in circles. You find it by testing, doing, noticing, refining. I'm afraid to choose the wrong path. The irony is that refusing to choose becomes its own wrong path. Stagnation has a cost too. Indecision is not neutral. It quietly spends your life while pretending to protect it. Purpose often becomes visible only after movement. Action teaches what thinking cannot. By trying, you discover preference. By building, you discover fit. By serving, you discover meaning. And here's the deeper truth. Purpose does not have to impress other people to be real. It does not need to look glamorous. A life spent wisely is not necessarily a famous life. It is a life where your time flows towards something that feels honest, useful, and deeply yours. Chapter 10. Learn before life forces the lesson. Life will teach you either way. The only question is whether you will learn voluntarily or expensively. Some people learn early that rest matters, humility matters, attention matters, honesty matters, courage matters. Others keep ignoring the signals until life upgrades the volumes. Burnout teaches, loss teaches, regret teaches, illness teaches, betrayal teaches. The lesson arrives eventually, but the tuition gets higher. Most suffering is not fully avoidable. But a surprising amount of unnecessary suffering comes from refusing small wisdom until it becomes a large consequence. I didn't know it would matter this much. That sentence usually appears after repetition, not after randomness. The signs were there. The pattern was there. The inner warning was there. But comfort kept negotiating on behalf of the future. A wise life pays attention early. It notices what drains peace. It notices who repeatedly disrespects trust. It notices which habits slowly poison confidence. It notices when the body is sending signals. It notices when the soul is becoming dull. Noticing is a form of protection. And learning is one of the greatest ways to spend a short life well. Because you do not live long enough to make every mistake personally. Learn from thinkers. Learn from elders. Learn from failure. Learn from your own repeated patterns. Learn from the pain you already paid for. If a lesson cost you peace once, don't keep paying for it monthly. Chapter 11. You become what you repeat. People like dramatic transformation stories because they are emotionally satisfying. One decision, one breakthrough, one moment of clarity, everything changes. Real life is usually quieter than that. Most of your life is not decided in huge moments. It is decided in routines so ordinary, you barely notice them. What you do in the first hour of the day, what you do when you feel stress, what you reach for when you feel empty, what you tolerate when you are tired, what you say yes to without thinking. Repetition is destiny in slow motion. That's why spending life wisely is less about intensity and more about design. If your habits are carrying you in the wrong direction, motivation will not save you for long. You need systems that make the wise choice easier than the foolish one. I know what to do. I just need to do it. Not exactly. If knowing were enough, most people would already be transformed. The real issue is friction, environment defaults, emotional triggers, identities. You don't rise to your ideals consistently, you fall to your patterns consistently. So build patterns that respect your future self, make distraction harder, make meaningful work visible, make gratitude spoken, make movement automatic, make reflection regular, make truth easier than image. Do not underestimate small disciplines. They look unimpressive in the moment, but they quietly shape character. And character determines how your life gets spent when no one is watching. Chapter 12. Presence is the highest form of wealth. There are people with plenty of money who cannot enjoy a sunset, a conversation, a meal, or a quiet room because their mind is constantly elsewhere. There are also people with modest means who know how to inhabit a moment so fully that life feels richer around them. That difference matters. A short life is wasted not only by doing the wrong things, but also by failing to feel the right things while they are here. If you are always chasing the next outcome, the next milestone, the next answer, the next validation, then your entire life becomes a hallway, always a never arriving. But presence turns ordinary moments into actual life. Morning light becomes life. Laughter becomes life. Recovery becomes life. Prayer, deep work, becomes life. Walking someone's headphones becomes life. I'll enjoy things once I get there. Where is there? The target keeps moving. That's the trap. If joy is always postponed to the next achievement, then your life becomes a sequence of unfinished arrivals. Wise people still build, strive, improve, and aim higher. But they do not sacrifice their ability to be here while doing it. Presence does not mean laziness. It means participation. It means your mind and your moment are finally in the same room. And when that happens, life stops feeling quite so short. Not because you added more years, but because you actually lived the ones you had. Chapter 13. The final tests. Imagine yourself at the end of your life, looking back honestly, not performatively, not through the lens of what looked impressive. Just honestly, what will matter? Will you be proud that you stayed busy, or grateful that you stayed awake? Will you care about every minor status game you won, or the moments you gave your full heart to what mattered? Will you be relieved that you played safe, or haunted by how often fear made your decisions for you? This test simplifies things fast, because death is brutal, but it is also clarifying. It removes the fake hierarchy. It exposes what was noise and what was substance. It shows you that many things which felt urgent were never important, and many things that were truly important rarely screamed for attention. They whispered. Health whispered. Your loved ones whispered. Your inner life whispered. Your calling whispered. Your peace whispered. But the world is loud, and many people spend their whole lives responding to noise while ignoring truth. I thought I had more time. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. That uncertainty is exactly why this matters now. Spending life wisely does not require becoming a monk, quitting your job, deleting modern life, or escaping all responsibility. It requires honesty. It requires choosing on purpose. It requires remembering that your days are not rough drafts. They are your life in its final form while you are living it. Conclusion: life is short. Not in a dramatic slogan kind of way. In a real way. Calendar way. In a body-changing way. In a parents getting older way. In a friendships fading way. In a one day you will run out of ordinary Tuesdays kind of way. And that truth is not meant to depress you. It is meant to wake you up. Spend your life on what deepens it. Spend it on people who matter and on becoming someone you respect. Spend it building a body that can carry your dreams. Spend it protecting your attention from nonsense. Spend it learning before regret has to teach you. Spend it creating a life that does not require constant escape. Spend it choosing presence over performance, alignment over applause, truth over image, and meaning over momentum. You do not need to fix everything today. But you do need to stop acting like your real life begins later. Later is where many people hide from the necessary. Later is where courage gets delayed. Later is where important conversations go to die. Later is where unused talent hardens into regret. So start smaller than your excuses and sooner than your fear. Said the message. Take the walk. End the habit. Begin the work. Protect the morning. Tell the truths. Make the appointment. Put the phone away. Sit with the people you love. Build what keeps calling you. Rest before you break. Leave what is obviously draining your soul. Return to what makes you feel human. A wisely spent life is not built in one giant heroic moment. It is built in ordinary hours used consciously. Your habits become your days become your memory. Your memory becomes your life, and one day, whether you are ready or not, the spending stops. So while the account is still open, spend it like it matters. Because it does.